Welcome to the instructional video for the Baduan Jin. In this video I'm going to take each of the 8 exercises basically apart and help you understand how to do the movements with respect to what this form's focus is. The Baduan Jin has basically 3 different unique kinds of focus with respect to Qigong practice. One, because of the way that most of the movements begin and you come back, the Baduan Jin is a really great way to help integrate more standing meditation or a deeper standing posture into your Qigong practice. There's another DVD within this series just on the Zhangzhuan practice or standing meditation practice. So, if you're doing the practice throughout the whole form with the Baduan Jin, you're going to be basically in a fairly deep standing post kind of posture in and out for about 35-40 minutes. So that gives you just a great opportunity to get more strength and endurance and comfort standing here low in your body. Another aspect of the Baduan Jin, which I think is at first challenging but very beneficial in the long term, is to begin moving through what we would call the axis of the bones of your arms. So if I was to imagine my forearm here, is the pool cue. If you've ever played pool, like with the table and the balls, as I move through my limb, it's not just moving my hand in one direction, up here, out here. The experience that I'm trying to have in my practice is to loosen my tendons, my muscles, my just innate tension throughout my body. So as I'm moving, I'm trying to feel almost like a skeleton, like as if I could imagine that the rest of my tissue wasn't there. Just to have that image of the bones moving very, very precisely through the space it's traveling through. Now, if your hand's in this position, it could be in this position, it isn't so important, but it's just to be moving through the bones. And this brings up an important traditional or theoretical aspect to Qigong, and it's what we would call the 4 layers. Sometimes it's described as the 4 levels of practice. So the 4 levels of practice are the Qi layer, the Jin layer, which has to do with connective tissue and sort of excitement and reflex. Then we have the Gu layer, which is your bones, and then the Yi layer, which you could call kind of intent or non-formed reasoning, but a kind of very clear direction with the mind. So often, when a person, first gets into Qigong practice, perhaps even martial arts practice, you're always going to be doing what you would call the Qi layer, which is basic reflexes, basic body awareness, duck and flinch kind of things that are innate to your nervous system. And once you start to get into the Qi layer, you're actually going to learn to relax, because it's that apprehensive, busy, reflexive, instinctual Qi layer that's sort of the part of us that creates and holds a lot of tension, and it comes from instinct, so it's not like a mistake. It's just to appreciate that it's just not at all thought out. Excuse me. So we have the Qi layer, and once you've relaxed enough into your body, you're going to start building a better awareness around coordination. One of the best ways to do this is called Sun Sichin, or the silk reeling practice, and there's a video in this series on all of those exercises too. And the more you can get into the Qin layer, the coordination, the dexterity, to be able to move your hand with your center, with the momentum driven through your legs, by shifting weight, all of a sudden you're moving as a whole body, not just moving body parts around. And that's what we would call that Qin layer. Then we have the Gu layer, and again that's the bones, and this is where you're standing in your posture and really just feeling the alignment of your bones, your spine, your skull basically floating on your neck. And you can't really experience the bone layer when you have a lot of nervous tension or a lot of, say, soreness. You've just done a bunch of exercise and your body's all stiff. So the bone layer is very, very important, I think, especially with respect to martial arts, to be able to move with enough speed and force through your fingertips to do a certain amount of damage to someone else if you ever had to. You have to be able to be very aware of your bones. You're not going to be as effective by just holding a lot of tension in your hand. It's the same with a closed fist. If you're just balled up with a lot of tension, the stiffness in your wrist limits how much your elbow can move. And again, this isn't about martial arts, that's just an example. But when you can imagine the bones of your forearm, the bones of your hand, moving through space very, very clearly, then there's no resistance to the movement because there's no tension around your joints. So then there's the E layer, and this is quite challenging to communicate in English, but E layer has to do with a part of your mind that exists between an open attention and the forming of a specific intention. And this is considered a fairly high level in martial arts or Qigong practice, because now you're moving in a very precise, very agile, very appropriate way in response to say, a threat, without any kind of thought or technique. But in order to move that way, you have to be very developed in the Qi layer, the Qin layer, and the Gu, or the bone layer. So the more you get into the E layer with Qigong practice, the more you're truly, as we say in Chinese medicine, the mind leads the Qi leads the blood, and this leads movement. So once you're moving with E, you're not even physically feeling like you're using bones and muscles to move. You're just moving with ideation and sort of a sense of a tangible enjoyment of just being in your body. But it's mostly just the mind moving things, and that can take 20 years, give or take 20 years, maybe for some people 20 minutes, who knows. But just want to introduce that little bit of practical theory for you as you develop your practice awareness and understanding of Qigong as a system of practice. So as we go through the Baduan Jin, we're going to have that appreciation that we're kind of sneaking up on doing more standing meditation, because within your practice you're going to be down here quite a bit. You're going to be becoming more aware and tangible of those 4 layers of movement. And I'm just going to add one thing to that. Some people would say that they're levels: Qi layer, then Jin layer, then Gu layer, then E layer. I like to think of them as kind of like the 4 directions of a compass. As you're moving through your life, through your practice, you can check in with each of them all of the time and see which part of yourself you need to be paying more attention to make sure all of them are developing simultaneously. That's just my appreciation. There's lots of ways to look at these things. So again, we have our standing practice, becoming aware of the bone level of movement, because there's all these movements you're going to be doing that have to do with spiraling through and along your bones, as well as your shoulder blades and things like that. And there's one more part to the Baduan Jin that's very, very important. The other aspect of this is what I call pocket muscles, and I'll just walk you through that very quickly. So your pocket muscles are the muscles that basically move your pelvis left and right. They're basically the muscles between your pelvis and your knees, the inside, the sides, the back of your legs.